We are making this delicious basil pesto today. I made it using a food processor. You might be able to do it in a high-powered blender, but I prefer to use a food processor. It just makes it easier. For this recipe, I used 2 cups of fresh basil, 5 tablespoons of parmesan, a 1/4 cup of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of pine nuts, 1 garlic clove chopped, and about 1/8 teaspoon of salt. So we start off with just about half of the fresh basil leaves. So 1 cup in the food processor, and then you pour in about 1/4 of the olive oil just to try and get it mixed a little bit and processed. And then we're going to push down the leaves that rolled up onto the sides, I guess, and add the rest of the basil leaves to it. You just want to mix it, half of it first and then the other half. It just makes mixing it a lot easier. So I make sure I put in all the fresh basil leaves. Now I separated the leaves from the stems and just used the leaves for this recipe. So I put the top back on and I pulsed it several times, and then I add some more of the olive oil. Again, about 1/4 of the olive oil that we have. And then I just mixed it until it looked like it was fully combined. And then once you do that, once again, you're going to take off the lid, push down the sides, make sure you clean it up so that everything gets mixed in properly. So you really need to take your time with this. Just make sure you're constantly cleaning the sides down just to make sure all the ingredients are well incorporated. And at this point is where I mix it one more time. And again, I pulse it several times. Sometimes I hold down the pulse button just to get it to a point where everything looks like it's fully chopped and there's no large leaves left in the mixture. So here is where I added the parmesan. I added the full 5 tablespoons of grated parmesan, and I added the 2 tablespoons of pine nuts. And pine nuts are a must in this recipe. It makes a big difference. And then the fresh garlic clove. So I just chopped it because it's going to get minced up in the food processor. So here again, I'm pulsing it, and now you're trying to mix everything together. It almost forms a crumb type texture. But then we add a little more olive oil to help mix it all together. And you want a consistency so that it kind of holds. If you put a spoon in there and takes them out, it kind of holds it, but it droops out of the spoon. That's what you want. You don't want it too liquidy. You don't want it too runny. You kind of want it thick, but a little bit of run from a spoon. Let me show you. I did put a spoon in here and did add that to the video. Here I go. This is where I added my spoon, and I just wanted to see if it drooped off there when I turned the spoon. It's kind of hard to see at the top, but that's how you want the consistency. And here I tasted it as well, and I realized it needed a little more salt, so I added some more salt to it. And so I use about 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of salt for this recipe. I gave it one more mix, and that was it. So I use it in soups, pastas, low carb pastas, of course. Enjoy!